There is a new redemption code waiting for you in the description, and you might want to grab it before we dive into something that feels a lot bigger than just a normal update. Because the closer we get to version 6.5, the more it starts to feel like Genshin Impact is quietly preparing a shift that goes far beyond what most players were expecting. Final days. Right now we are in that strange moment just before the special program, where leaks start to line up just enough to form a pattern, but not enough to feel completely safe to believe. And yet when you look at everything together, it starts to feel less like random information and more like pieces of a much larger plan coming into focus. At first glance, it sounds simple enough, because the headline leak is about a new 5-star Geo Support named Linnea, and if you stop there, it feels like a pretty standard patch setup. New character, some reruns, maybe a map expansion, nothing too unusual. But the interesting part is not that Linnea exists. It is the way everything around her seems to connect, almost like she is being introduced alongside systems, locations, and story threads that are meant to redefine how we look at the game moving forward. Let's start with Linnea, because on paper she is being described as a 5-star Geo Support, and that alone already raises a question that a lot of players have been quietly asking: what does a modern Geo Support even look like anymore? Geo has always had a strange identity, sometimes defensive, sometimes structural, sometimes niche, and the idea of a new 5-star support suggests that she is not just filling an old role, but possibly redefining it, especially if she is being released alongside new regions and mechanics that might actually need a different kind of support system. And this is where things get more interesting, because leaks also mention that Linnea is getting her own story quest, which usually means she is not just gameplay filler, but someone tied directly into the narrative of the patch, and that narrative seems to connect to something much bigger than just her. At the same time, we are seeing mentions of rerun banners like Lauma, Nefer, and Chasca, which on the surface feels like a normal rotation. But when reruns appear alongside major map expansions, it often signals something else, a chance for players to prepare for content that might actually require broader team options. Players in the community have already started speculating about this, with some saying things like, "This feels like one of those patches where they want everyone ready," while others are more focused on saving resources, waiting to see if Linnea ends up being essential for whatever is coming next. And that, whatever is coming next, is where the tone of this entire update begins to shift. Forgotten Port. Because one of the biggest reveals in these leaks is not a character at all, but a place that has been sitting in the background of the game's lore for years, Dornman Port. For a long time, Dornman Port has existed more as an idea than a location, something mentioned, hinted at, but never fully realized, and now suddenly it might finally be opening, which raises a simple but powerful question: why now? Mondstadt is the starting region, the place players associate with simplicity, nostalgia, and early exploration. So revisiting it with a brand new area suggests that the developers are not just expanding the map, but recontextualizing the beginning of the journey. And if Dornman Port is being introduced now, it likely means there are story threads there that were never meant to be understood earlier, but are finally becoming relevant. Unknown space. Then we get to something far more mysterious, something that doesn't feel grounded in any region we know, the Space of Asmoday. Even the name alone has triggered massive speculation, because it doesn't sound like a normal location. It sounds like a concept, or a domain, or something tied to deeper layers of the game's lore that we have only glimpsed so far. Leaks suggest this area could be tied to a world quest, possibly connected to Linnea's story. And if that is true, then suddenly Linnea is not just a Geo Support, she is a gateway into whatever Asmoday represents. And this is where the tone begins to shift from regional expansion to something much larger, something almost cosmic. Because if you step back and look at the pattern of recent content, it doesn't feel random anymore, it feels like escalation. We went from grounded regions, to hidden underground worlds, to ancient civilizations, to domains that barely follow the rules of reality. And now, we are talking about spaces that might not even belong to Teyvat in the traditional sense. Players have started to notice this too, with some pointing out that each new area feels less normal than the last, while others are starting to connect this to long-running theories about the fake sky, the true sky, and what lies beyond. And that brings us to one of the most talked about ideas right now, something that is not even confirmed for 6.5, but is becoming impossible to ignore. Moon theory. There is growing discussion around a potential moon expansion, sometimes referred to as the frost moon. And while it might sound like a wild leap at first, the details surrounding it are surprisingly consistent across different sources. The idea is that this would not just be another region, but a completely new kind of space, possibly featuring low-gravity mechanics, alien environments, and structures like a lunar palace. And interestingly, this ties back to a character that players have been watching very closely, Columbina. There are hints that Columbina might be connected to the moon, with lines suggesting she lives there or is cleaning it up before inviting others, which sounds strange at first, but starts to make sense if the moon is being positioned as a future explorable area. What makes this theory even more interesting is how it connects to gameplay we have already seen. There have been sections in the game where gravity feels slightly different, where falling is slower, where movement feels just a bit off, and at the time, it seemed like a minor detail. But now players are starting to look back and ask, what if those were tests? Because if a moon region is coming, then low gravity would not just be a gimmick, it would be a core mechanic, something that changes how exploration and combat feel at a fundamental level. And right now, the community is split between excitement and concern, with some saying, imagine actually jumping higher and floating between platforms, while others worry that it might end up feeling too subtle, like the current low-gravity effects. But beyond gameplay, the real weight of this idea comes from what it means for the story. If we are moving toward the moon, then we are moving beyond Teyvat, and that is not a small step. That is a major shift in the entire narrative structure of the game. This could be where concepts like the primordial one, the fake sky, and ancient civilizations finally start to converge into something concrete, something players can actually explore instead of just theorize about. And suddenly, all these smaller pieces, Linnea, Dornman Port, Asmoday, they start to feel like stepping stones rather than isolated features. Future threads. There are even hints that other characters, like Sandrone, might appear in nearby patches, possibly connecting to these larger storylines, which suggests that we are entering a phase where multiple major characters are being positioned at once. Some players are already joking about it, saying things like, we are going to the moon and still finding hilichurls, or we will somehow farm mint up there. But beneath the humor, there is a real sense that the game is preparing for something unprecedented. And maybe the most interesting part is how aware the community is of this shift, because people are not just reacting to leaks anymore, they are analyzing patterns, connecting dots, and trying to predict where all of this is leading. So when you look at version 6.5, it might seem like just another update on the surface, but when you follow the threads, Linnea's role, Dornman Port's timing, the mystery of Asmoday, and the growing moon theories, it starts to feel like the beginning of something much larger. Not the climax, not the final reveal, but the moment where the pieces begin to align, where the game quietly transitions from a regional adventure into something that might eventually take us far beyond the world we started in. And with the special program just days away, we are about to find out which of these pieces are real, which ones are incomplete, and which ones are hiding something even bigger behind them. So now I am curious what you think, because out of everything we talked about, Linnea, Dornman Port, Asmoday, or even the possibility of going to the moon, which one feels like the biggest turning point for the game? Let me know in the comments what you are most excited for, and whether you think Genshin is really heading beyond Teyvat, or if this is just another step along the way. And if you enjoyed breaking this down together, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives like this.